What a roller coaster of emotions from the Atlanta Braves last night. Christian Gokel alongside Cam Urshery here on Second Down. PJ Zuko will be on here in just a few minutes. But as I mentioned there, if you were a Braves fan, you were through 4 or 5 innings. You're like, all right, go ahead and wrap this one up, go about my night. And then all of a sudden you start getting those notifications on your phone as you get into the ninth inning as things got pretty uncomfortable there for the Atlanta Braves. They do hold on for the 11-9 win over the Miami Marlins. Second straight series sweep for the Atlanta Braves as they get ready to take on the Orioles starting tomorrow night. But again, you're up 5-0 at one point, extended that lead to 8-3, all the way to 11-3 in the top of the eighth. Going into the bottom of the ninth, you're like, all right, we're good. Send old Josh Tomlin out there. It'll be a good time. Throwing batting practice fastballs. And the Marlins took advantage of it as they score, again, 6 runs in the top of the ninth. You put Will Smith in there, I guess, because thinking you can stop the hemorrhaging, and he gives up a couple of runs as well. It's
as
just,
usual.
Technically, he only gives up 1 earned run because
Mm-hmm.
when he got taken deep, one of the runners were still left over.
Mm-hmm.
But still, again, 6 earned runs in the top of the ninth for the Atlanta Braves. Excuse me, bottom of the ninth for the Atlanta Braves. I don't know how many more times. Number one, Tomlin should be DFA'd. Like, I think we've seen enough. Again, I don't think 86-mile-an-hour fastballs are going to get it done, especially when you can't really locate them. Will Smith, how much more do you need to see? Because
not much.
Yeah,
I mean, every time he comes in, all hell breaks loose. So not much.
A home run an inning kind of a guy.
Yeah.
Or there's at least going to be runners on first and second, and somebody's going to have to make an insane play. Like, how many times have we seen these games get closed out with Austin Riley having to make a diving stab to prevent a run from scoring, Dansby Swanson having to do the same thing, Freddie Freeman having to stretch out to save the inning? It's every time Will Smith comes in, it's an adventure. You want your closer to come in and everybody to be like, all right, that's it.
Yeah, game over.
When
We're comfortable.
When your closer comes in and the other team's like, okay, here we go.
That's pretty bad. Yeah.
That's not a good sign.
I'll put it like this. They're 9-1 their last 10. I want to say they
won 6 in a row.
13-2 in their last 15. I want to say that. I might be wrong. Somebody correct me on that if I'm wrong, but I put it like this, man. Just a month ago, they were in 3rd place in this division. Now they're 3.5 games ahead of the 2nd place. A win is a win. And, they play the Orioles these next 3 games. I think they might be on a 9-game win streak when it's all said and done. And they're 68-56, 12 games above 500. And you're like, wow, okay, they're running away with this division. If you just split these next couple of series you're playing, I mean, as a Braves fan, you got to be happy.
Yeah.
I mean, you have to.
And again, you're 9 games above 500. We were talking about for the longest time of the season, Cam, you couldn't get above 500. Now, If you beat the Orioles, you're 10 games over 500.
Mm-hmm.
And we spoke about this earlier in the week. Now you're fighting for that second wild card spot. Obviously, you want to win the division.
Yeah.
But the thought was maybe only one team makes it out of this division. Now you're looking at it like you could be pushing for that second wild card spot if the Mets heat back up or if the Phillies heat back up all of a sudden and they end up taking the division. I don't think – obviously, it's not your number one option.
Nah, but I don't foresee that either.
Yeah, but it's just amazing how the circumstances have changed here in just a few weeks. Also last night, Freddie Freeman hits for the cycle, his second career cycle. Actually, the first Brave to do it since he did it back in 2015. He is the first Brave to hit for the cycle twice for the Atlanta Braves. So all kinds of records for Freddie Freeman last night. Really cool to see that. And now all of a sudden, Freddie Freeman, a guy who a lot of people were worried about at the beginning of the year, and we've talked about this. A lot of people were ready to maybe trade Freddie Freeman.
Nuts.
Right?
You don't trade the MVP.
Yeah, now he's back over 300.
Yeah, you don't trade the MVP. Like you said, this is his second cycle, so a single, double, and a triple.
Single, double, triple, homer.
Wow, okay. I didn't know the homer.
See,
I've been doing my homework.
Yeah, the basketball guy coming in here.
Trying to do a little bit better. Trying to get my
What would you
together.
compare that to in basketball? Like, because I didn't want to talk about this when PJ gets in here. Where does like the cycle rank in terms of difficult things to do in sports, like in a single game? Like, I think it's up there with like
triple
double seems way more commonplace.
It is now because the way the game is. So I'll say I'll say tripped up for a miniature size player. Like if Kemba Walker goes out there and gets a triple double, that's like big.
Yeah.
That's huge. I mean, Westbrook is making it so common, but Kemba Walker does a triple double, or you could do a quadruple double.
I'd say triple.
I
would put it up there with like a triple double, but without the points part.
Okay, yeah,
So,
I
like,
can give you that.
Boards, steals, and blocks.
That's insane.
Like that's what I think it's at. I don't even think it's the hardest single game thing to do for a Major League Baseball player. I still think that's the perfect game.
No, that is. I mean,
like, going out there, no walks, no hits, perfect game, no errors, nothing. That to me is the hardest thing because you're having to count on other people too, right? So it's the perfect game for me is still, it probably is in sports, the toughest single game accomplishment. Again, I'd put the cycle up there with, again, like throwing for 500 yards.
Yeah, that's
in an
tough.
NFL game. Like it's nuts if you can pull something like that out. Maybe Julio going for 300 yards against, was it Carolina?
Yeah,
poor Carolina. James Newberry just getting cooked the entire time.
And now Bradbury, he's a solid corner.
Was it Bradbury?
Yeah,
Bradbury.
He's a solid corner for the Giants now. He's their CB1. He's a solid corner now. But I mean, Julio gave everybody the business. But you're right. It's in that category, 500 yards. I don't think I think I saw Brady throw that in the Super Bowl. I don't know if I could think of another quarterback that's done that I could recall. And then the 300 yards, I think the only person I've seen is Julio and Calvin Johnson do that. And that's it. I want to say, did Moss
I'd be curious if you want to pull it up, you can Google it. Let us know what the single game records are. I think Julio had the single game record there against Carolina. I could be wrong. But again, it's just, there's some absurd stats out there. And the cycle, I think, is one of those where it's so rare and so hard. You got to pull it up?
Yeah. Flipper Anderson.
Oh, my.
336 yards.
Yep.
Okay.
I don't know who Flipper Anderson is, but I know we've looked this up when Julio did that, and I remember Flipper. Where's Julio rank on that?
Let me see.
Pulling up the all-time list. But, again, there's like a hat trick, I think, in hockey and in soccer is something I would put up there along the lines of a cycle. But a cycle's nuts. Maybe the 60-point game in basketball is where you go with it.
Julio's at number 6.
Wow. Give me the other 5 that are ahead of him.
Okay, I was right. Calvin, 329 at number 2. Stephanie Page, 309, Kansas City. Jim Benton, 303.
Oh, yeah.
Clois Box. That's a name.
What are the years on these?
Oh, years. Whoa. 1989 for Flip. Calvin, 2013. Stephanie, 1985. Jim, 303 in 1945.
Getting after it. It's out there cooking people in the 40s.
Clois Box, 1950, 302. And Julio Jones, 300, 2016, Carolina Panthers.
I feel like I could go back and give some people the business in the 40s. Like, I'm just being real.
Yeah, they're taking heads off back then, though. They're breaking skulls and necks.
But, I mean... They never saw a slant route back then. They wouldn't know what to do.
Nah, I wouldn't go over the middle back then. Let's put it like that.
I'm giving them the business back in the 40s. But yeah, Freddie Freeman hits for the cycle. Get another solid performance out of Charlie Morton. He goes 6 innings, only gives up 2 runs. So again, just a wild game last night. I thought a really funny point from the road broadcast team there. Ben Anderson and the guys, they just now have been able to actually start going back on the road with the teams. Before they, like us, which is the most 2020, 2021 thing, they were watching the games on TV and calling the games on the radio. So they're catching the game on TV and just talking about it, and so you can hear it over the radio. And now the past 9 games, they've been able to go on the road with the Braves. You know what the Braves record is since they've been on the road?
What?
9-0 on the road.
They need to keep going on the road.
Well, they're going to.
Yeah.
Unless we have to start shutting things down again. But again, 9-0 since we've had that Braves radio network back on the road. So good to hear from those guys. It's so much better when you actually hear them in the stadium, because a lot of times they're having to like wait for replays or wait for certain camera angles. I remember they got really mad at ESPN because ESPN's big fans of showing their graphics and showing their promos versus showing replays. And so the radio guys, if they don't know what was going on or they missed something during a play, there was no way for them to articulate what had just happened because, again, they were just watching the same thing we were watching. So really happy to have those guys back on the road. I don't think anybody does it better than the Braves radio network. Again, Ben Ingram, Jim Powell, and those guys are phenomenal, and we're really happy and proud to carry them every single night. We got so much more to come here on Second Down. Got some NFL talk to dive into. Calvin Ridley and Kyle Pitts apparently giving the Dolphins the business down in Miami. So we'll dive into that, what this Falcons offense could look like coming up. We got a preseason game coming up against the Dolphins. Also dive into some Georgia talk, a couple of big injuries that we mentioned yesterday. We'll dive into all of that coming up here on Second Down. Second Down on ESPN Radio is presented to you by the Uniform Source. Christian Gokel alongside Cam Ursery and soon PJ Zuko. He was just missing one of the most important parts of doing a radio broadcast, which is a microphone.
Yep, I might.
Yep. So we'll have PJ Zuko on here momentarily. But as we mentioned, the Falcons down in Miami right now for some joint practices before their preseason game. And Cam, I don't know if you've been on social media, but Kyle Pitts and more specifically Calvin Ridley have been making the Miami Dolphins, who have some really good, really high-paid corners, making them look foolish, look silly, look like their feet are stuck in sand. I saw a video from the Falcons where Calvin Ridley embarrassed Byron Jones. Like, I don't think there's any other way to put it.
And Byron Jones is a good,
good
corner,
a really high-paid corner. I think at one point he might have been the highest-paid corner in the league, or he was like the highest-paid acquisition in the league when they went out and traded for him. So I know it's the preseason. I know everybody looks good in one-on-ones, but it's just making my heart flutter a little bit watching the unicorn Kyle Pitts out there going over people. Like the video the Falcons posted of him where he ran kind of we'll call it a post corner. It was against a DB, and the DB, like a corner, and the corner was having trouble keeping up with him. That's scary.
Oh yeah, it's scary good. It's scary good. It's not nothing I'm shocked about though. The receiving core is not who I'm worried about. You know, it's the O-line.
Everything else.
Yeah, it's everything else, the O-line, defense, but we'll stay on the receiving core. They look good. I want to say Ridley went up against Xavier Howard, who led the league in interceptions last year, who's really, really dang good. Oh, they look good out there, man. I like to see. I want to see Russell Gage get out there and catch somebody slipping, but I'm excited to see these young guys, go out there and catch some passes.
I mean, Calvin Ridley, I think PJ now joining us here on second down.
Is this thing on?
Oh, I don't think it is on. Oh
Gosh.
Yeah, we got you.
We rolling?
Yeah, we're rolling.
Most important thing in radio.
Microphone.
You have a microphone, or what are you gonna do?
You just sat down. You were ready to rock.
I was, man. I mean, like I told you, Cam, last week. I mean, it's high school football weekend, and it's in full force. So like things happen.
Do we get the full PJ Zuko experience tonight?
Yeah, for sure. So you got high school first look coming in all markets, and certainly can't wait for that.
I'm gonna give you a chance to try that again.
What's that?
Do we get the full PJ Zuko experience tonight?
Yeah, of course. Like, am I supposed to sound more excited? Oh yeah.
It's the first week of high school football season.
Okay.
And you have a full preview show coming up tonight.
Like, I was enamored that
we're playing chess.
I was kind of enamored that you were like the full PJ Zuko experience. Like, I have an experience named after me. That's kind of awesome. So I was just kind of blown away.
It's high school first look man.
Yeah, absolutely. Looking forward to that. 6 to 7, of course, right after 3 and out. And if you're on the go, or if you can't reach a radio, be sure to tune in on ESPNColts.com or something like that as well. So yeah, not full loaded show, full of coaches. And I mean, they call it week 0. I'm going to be saying this all night. They call it week 0. It's week 1 to me. I mean, you got so many teams in action.
It's week 1.
It's not like there's 3 teams out there playing football in our coverage area that no. It's fully loaded. We have a few teams on buys, but that's it. So all up and down the coast, there's going to be action all weekend. You have Wayne County playing Statesboro on Saturday. So that's going to be great up at the Irk Russell Classic at Georgia Southern. But no, have some loaded shows for you tonight, and I can't wait for that. But I mean, that's where this comes from, right? Is like, I'm working on that. I'm doing a little bit of everything, running here real quick, ready to go. All right, transition my mind to
okay.
NFL.
I have an issue with week 0.
No,
maybe this is a GHSA decision. I don't know, but we literally have 20 games that feature coastal Georgia teams coming up this weekend. So that's 40 teams. Mm-hmm. It's not week 0 anymore. That's week 1.
Yeah.
Right.
You can say the rest of the teams are starting week 2. Like it ain't week 0, it's week 1.
Just say you have more bye weeks because that's really what it's all about.
0 doesn't exist.
It doesn't.
It's the lack of something.
Yeah. No, exactly. We're not supposed to have football on a week 0.
0 is the absence of stuff.
Really, week 0 to me should be before scrimmages. Because that's scrimmage week, right? I mean, like,
I've never heard the term week 0 before today.
Oh, it's a college football thing that I think high school football is trying to adopt.
Never heard the term.
Because it's all media related. Like week 1 is like the Labor Day weekend where you have like Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday football, but there will be like Hawaii is playing in quote unquote week 0. We're actually less than 10 days away. I think we're 9 days away now from the official kickoff of FBS college football, but they call it week 0 because it's not the official Labor Day week 1 kickoff. So it's a broadcast thing.
Yeah. And it's interesting, but like, again, I've never liked it. It's never something that I've really been about. To me, once you start high school football, especially if you want to call it week 0, like I said, if you want to call it week 0 when there's like 7 teams playing on that weekend, then whatever, I guess. But like literally the whole state is playing this weekend because they're all taking advantage
the Corky Keller Classics this weekend. Earth Russell Classics this weekend.
So like if we start the season earlier, which like isn't early because the GHSA is letting you start the season in week 0, quote unquote, right? So if we start the season earlier, we get extra bye weeks later in the year, or same amount of bye weeks. It's just you're playing that for week 0. So I don't know. It's kind of crazy, but either way, like you said, full high school football experience for you throughout the weekend. Full high school football coverage.
It's gonna be a lot of PJ Zuko.
We're gonna have more high school football coverage than we ever have this year. So we're looking forward to that.
You're gonna get just a 3-day dose of PJ Zuko because you have tonight.
Yeah.
Then tomorrow night you'll be on the call of New Hampstead, Windsor Forest,
right,
on ESPNCoastal.com, and then Saturday morning.
Yep.
High school roundup.
High school sports roundup. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So, and that's just high school football, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you got NASCAR on Sunday as well.
Oh, I forgot about green, white, and checkered.
All right, 9 to 9:30. No, it's that time of year where
hardest working man in South Georgia radio
come
right
on,
here.
That's crazy. That's a little crazy, but no, it is the time of year where like I talk to my friends and family, and they're like, "Hey, man, so what are you doing?" And I'm like,
no, shut it down.
Yeah, I'm like, well, I'm doing this, and they're like, "Okay, well, what about this?" Well, like then I have that show. It's weird when you explain it to people too, because they're like, "So how like do you have shows and stuff like?" And I'm like, "Well, during the spring I have like 1 or 2." And they're like, "What do you mean?" I was like, "High school football season, I have like 8, but it's a great time. I mean, at the end of the day, it's all about having fun and getting the coverage out there, right?
Explain, like trying to explain to Cam, but I don't think you can really explain it. I just think you have to experience it, and it's just like the stark contrast between football season and the rest of the year is big.
Yeah, it's a big difference, man. You see it, and that like you get a taste of it this weekend.
It seems like
those college football too.
It seems like the 7 months where there's not football just like stretch on forever. It's the doldrums.
Mm-hmm.
And then you get to football season. It's like somebody pushed you off of the roller coaster like peaks, and then you're whoosh.
That's it. And I hate roller coasters, but I love football season.
You don't like roller coasters?
I'm not big on.
I just would like to point out that this segment started talking about Calvin Ridley.
Well, this is
true. Yeah,
this is the thing. And then you brought me in and changed subjects.
Well, I brought in the high school football guy, so of course
I just kind of like ran with it. Like I don't talk a lot in person, but like if you get me on a tangent, that's what I'm gonna go. But no, so like roller coasters.
Not a fan.
It's not that
Cam expressed a fear of heights to me.
Well, that's the thing.
The other day,
I've never.
I'd ride roller coasters though.
Yeah.
No, okay, time out.
Yeah.
See, that's where the combination that comes for me. But like,
I've stopped.
So when you say fear of heights, like you drive over the Sydney Linear Bridge, and how do you experience that?
I'm fine.
So what fear of heights do you have? Like, I think most people get nervous, like if you're on the edge of a canyon. I don't know if that's fear of heights or your body just like being smart.
Like if I walk up on a tower and it's super high.
Yeah, I don't think that's a fear of heights. I think that's just intelligence. I think that's just your body. Like if a lion is in your face, I don't think that's like, oh, I have a phobia of cats. It's like, no, that's a lion, right? I think like when you say you have a fear of heights, like that's like people who like freak out in their cars when they drive over the big bridges. Like I think that's like a legitimate.
If anything, I go fast over the big bridges.
Oh, I can't just flooring it.
I'm not gonna lie. I do the same thing. I go fast, so I get over it fast.
Dude, yes. But roller coasters?
But you can't ride. Maybe I'm being insensitive here, but you can't say you like roller coasters and then say you have a fear of heights.
I wouldn't say I like them anymore. I used to like the Goliath and the Ninja. And
you rode the Ninja? That thing was a death trap. You can't have fear of heights if you like that. For those of you who don't know, the Ninja is a roller coaster at Six Flags over Atlanta that got discontinued because it was so violent.
Yeah, I've rode everything except the Daredevil. Now that one I won't ride.
And again, now this is just full tangent mode. You know which roller coaster it's so underrated because it's one of those ones like it's like a scary movie where there's like the first time you see it, that scene that scares you, it's that initial shock factor.
Yeah.
And then once you've seen it, you're like, all right, it's fine. If you ride the Great American Scream Machine at Six Flags, but I think it was like the first namesake at Six Flags over Atlanta. It's just kind of no loops, no barrel rolls, no nothing.
You talking about
it's the big like
the white painted
big
one.
white wood one. Yeah. And it's just up and down, kind of slings you around a little bit. Again, you never go upside down.
It's not like that anymore.
But as you are coming in, and maybe they changed it. I don't know. Because I haven't ridden in like a decade.
Mm-hmm.
As you're coming in, there you kind of go into this tunnel, and there's just like a plank of wood. Like where they built it, there's just a plank of wood, and it's at eye level, and you're like, oh my God, I'm about to be decapitated. So you just did this. You just did this whole roller coaster, and you're like, oh, I mean, that was okay. And then you're like kind of relaxing, and then you're like, oh my God, I'm about to I have nowhere to go. And it just drops you down 4 feet real quick. You go under it, and you go into the woods.
Heck no, man. Because that's my thing, right? So like I have a healthy fear of heights, whatever, but like same thing. But like that combined with my it's more of like a lack of trust for the equipment that I'm sitting in, right? Like I don't
oh
like
yeah,
that.
where like the thing that goes across your thighs is like kind of shaky.
Like, okay, so you have this little like thing that goes across your thighs, and then you're going upside down, flipping around, going like crazy. I'm like, what in the world? Or you're like hanging off of something, and it's just like strapped in around your shoulders. Like this is supposed to. No way, man. No way. So like that's kind of where it comes from.
But I think that's the point of roller coasters to me is, like you said, I don't think, to me at least, they would be as fun if I was like NASA astronaut strapped in.
I get
like
that.
If I'm just like locked in and I know nothing can go wrong, what's to be scared of? But when you're when you're doing barrel rolls and there's like 2 inches of give and you're kind of yeah.
It's like people going on Ferris wheels and they're like, oh, it's nice and like romantic and whatever. But like, dude, you got those little rickety chairs basically. And then you always have the one guy who's like, oh, guess what? I'm going to shake this thing like crazy.
I can't do Ferris wheels. No.
What in the world?
No.
Wait,
it's too slow.
So it's just like that slow death of just like taking you really high.
Absolutely too slow. I did it one time and I freaked out. Never again.
So wait, you will go on the Ninja where it's just slinging
Not
you
anymore.
around.
That was the old me. I used to ride everything.
What happened, Cam?
I don't know. I really don't know. I stopped going to Six Flags, and next thing you know, I'm scared.
So that's the thing.
So
if you don't go to amusement parks, you're not gonna have a chance to ride the roller coasters. So you're probably not gonna ride them anymore.
Oh,
I was talking to someone the other day. We were up in Pennsylvania at the amusement park we were at. And I was like, this is when I was like, people are crazy, man. So like, I'm talking to them and I'm like, I think I'm going to go on this roller coaster, but the kids started going crazy. We had to leave the park, but I think I'm going to go on this roller coaster. I look it up, like send it to them and whatnot. And it's like 80 something miles an hour, like 100 and
excuse me.
Yeah. It's like 100 and something feet. And but it didn't have any crazy stuff. So I was like,
what's this one called?
It didn't have any like crazy loops or anything. So I was like, I think I'm gonna try this out. So I sent it to them, right? And I'm like, what's your favorite like roller coaster or whatever? And then they send me back one. It was like a 350-foot drop. It was like 97 miles an hour.
Yep.
I'm like, no, you guys are crazy.
Give me all that.
It's insane.
I want all that action.
No way.
I probably won't get on one now, but back then, you can get me to do anything.
You know, like you go to Six Flags or one of those ones like that, or Epcot or something like that. Those are the pros. Like you're like, you feel good. I'm here for the people that go to like the county fairs and ride those roller coasters.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Oh no.
That's trust to another level.
Yeah, that's just thrill seeking to another level. Yeah. Especially the one where it's like the 3 arms and then on the axles, on the arms, it has like the little like the cages in it that you sit in, and it just like spins like you're a centrifuge and it just spins you. I'm here for that one. The one where it just pins you up against the wall as it spins. No restraints.
No.
You're just using centrifugal force.
No, it's fine. Yeah. That'll work. Like, no.
I'm about all that action. And I want to start hearing bolts clank. That's what I'm about.
Okay. Okay, cool. Have you seen the video where it like one time it was wobbling and almost I'm like, oh my, this is giving me anxiety.
Yeah, it's never a good sign when the operator is kind of standing off to the sideline while pedestrians are jumping in and trying to figure out how to stop it.
When you look at him, he just kind of goes,
He's like, I don't know.
It's not me. It's you.
You seen Final Destination? Oh, well, now you're in it.
There was your warning. Yeah.
Well, again, there's your Falcons Calvin Ridley talk. Really good breakdowns there. We'll come back. We'll dive into some college football talk next, right here on Second Down. I have a few college football things I want to hit here in this segment. Obviously, the big news yesterday, Georgia suffered two pretty significant injuries to guys who were expected to contribute right away. Darnell Washington and Tyke Smith both going down with foot injuries. Kirby Smart coming out yesterday in an official statement saying they have both received treatment. A lot of sources indicating that means they both had surgery on their feet, and they are now listed as day-to-day. And again, a lot of sources, not the University of Georgia, but people who cover the University of Georgia, saying they're going to miss 3 to 5 weeks. So that would put them out of the season opener against Clemson. And I've seen some articles that have come out and said it's time to be worried about Georgia's pass catchers. Obviously, George Pickens goes down. You bring in Eric Gilbert. Right now, Eric Gilbert is not with the team. The statement from the school is that he is dealing with personal issues. And speaking to a few very reliable reporters around the University of Georgia program, that is the 100% truth. He is away from the team right now dealing with a personal issue, and the full expectation is that Eric Gilbert will be back. But again, looking at what they have right now, Eric Gilbert's not with the team. So you're down George Pickens, you're down Eric Gilbert. It's not looking like Dominic Blaylock is going to be ready for the beginning of the season. And then yesterday, Darnell Washington, your 6'7", 6'8", LeBron James-sized tight end, is down with a foot injury. So I do think it's okay to be concerned, but I would also look at what you have coming back. If I say you're rolling out Jermaine Burton, Kyrus Jackson, and Arian Smith, there's maybe 5 schools in the country that can say they're running out a better first 3. And I think the worry is for Georgia fans, one of those 5 is Clemson.
Right.
Because they're sending Justin Ross out there. But it's not what you want.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's unovercomable for this Georgia offense. Again, Jermaine Burton, Arian Smith, you still have John Fitzpatrick there. You've had a couple of younger tight ends that are making some serious noise right now. If I had to guess, Eric Gilbert's going to play against Clemson.
Yeah.
I hope so.
If I had to guess, Eric Gilbert's going to play against Clemson. So I'm not overly concerned about the pass catchers. And the other thing I wanted to say with the offense is I think inside of this, Todd Monken's had a full offseason. JT Daniels, first time in his career that he hasn't been in a quarterback battle, and he's the guy. So this pass offense is going to be off the chain, something we haven't seen before at Georgia. Number one, that's baloney. Go back and watch Aaron Murray when he played at Georgia, because those passing offenses were nuts. But the whole storyline has been around the pass.
Yeah.
And if you can figure out the offensive line, and you can figure out who's going to protect JT Daniels, like you just got to make sure you give him enough time to sit back there and deliver these strikes. We've forgotten the fact that Georgia has a stable. And I know we throw that word around a lot. What's a stable? It's something in which you house horses. It's a stable, a corral, whatever you want to call it. It's something in which you house horses. You need a building to cover up the amount of horses that you have.
Not just one.
No.
Yeah.
You have a stable of running backs right now. And you mean Zamir White, James Cook, Kenny McIntosh. You go to Kendall Milton, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think I would take a big step back before I said I'm worried about Georgia's offense. Because much like we've seen in the past, as soon as you start thinking like, oh, they're not going to be able to pass against this team, what is Georgia football known for? Turn around and hand the football off.
Yeah. And
punch people in the mouth until they prove they can stop it. That's what I think Kirby Smart's been trying to say to us this entire offseason is, yes, this is Todd Monken's offense, and we're going to allow Todd Monken to do what Todd Monken wants, but it's inside the Kirby Smart spectrum. And I think if you go back and watch Todd Monken's offenses, he's going to take what the defense gives him. So what we saw against Mississippi State, you put 9 guys in the box and play cover 0 over the top. Yeah, we're going to throw bombs.
Yeah.
But then you just look at South Carolina, a week later, JT Daniels, I think, threw for like 130 yards in that game, and Georgia ran for over 300.
Keeping them guessing.
Right. So it's you have an offensive line that's going to be physically superior to 99% of the teams they play, and you have those running backs. I think we need to recognize there's going to be games where Georgia goes 60-40 run because they can punch you in the mouth.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, and like you said, he's been trying to tell people all year, it might be Todd Monken and whatnot, but it's still my team, and it's still the University of Georgia. Like you said, that's their staple. I mean, that when you think about Georgia, you think about Herschel Walker and all those guys that just, like you said, lined up and imposed their will on you through the running game. And sure, if you have the ability to pass and make huge plays through the passing game, that makes you that much better, of course. But to completely disregard the offense and disregard the running game as a whole with the 4 or 5 or 6 guys that Georgia has in the backfield lining up, they can do multiple things, by the way. Mm-hmm. Like, that's the other thing that I keep thinking about. It's not like you're just turning around and handing off to guys that are going to get 2 or 3 yards up the middle and that's it. You're talking about guys that can bounce it to the outside.
So you're saying it's not the Jim Chaney.
Yeah, man, it's crazy, right? It's wild. You're talking about guys that can bounce it to the outside, that can be used in the passing game, that can have those notable moments in screens or wheel routes or whatever. So, like, to think that, yeah, like, there are a lot of guys that are down and out right now for the wide receiving core. That's also where recruiting comes into play.
Yeah, A.D. Mitchell is a freshman, and he was the best player in the spring game.
Yeah, that's where recruiting comes into play, and you have Georgia in the top 5 for however many years now for recruiting. So, I mean, I'm not insanely worried. Am I a little, like you said, a little concerned? Is it going to be as explosive as it could be?
You would obviously rather have Darnell Washington out there than not have them out there.
For sure. Yeah. In any moment. Like, would the Falcons still like to have Julio Jones?
Yeah.
Sure. But it's just not the case right now. So, I would not at all completely write off Georgia, or even be like, if the worry is in a 1 to 10 scale, it might be a 5 for me right now, but it's not a 9 or a 10.
And Cam, I know every Georgia fan out there wants to see the Georgia's offense look like 2019 LSU. I don't know that's the case. I don't know that JT Daniels is Joe Burrow, and I don't know if you have Jamar Chase and Justin Jefferson on your team.
Exactly.
But I think more so than anything, the move with Todd Monken wasn't to emulate LSU's offense or emulate Tua at Alabama. I think it's Georgia realized when we get into the games where the talent level is equal, and they can shut down our run. In the past, we haven't been able to crank it back up. I mean, look at LSU. You weren't going to stop LSU in 2019. And so you get into that SEC championship game, and you were outgunned from the jump, and you weren't going to win that football game because the entire season you weren't in that mode of, I'm ready to go back and forth.
Yeah.
Right? The one time we've really seen Georgia under Kirby Smart be able to, we saw it against Florida last year where they weren't able to keep up. You weren't in that mode of, I can keep up. Were you limited a quarterback? Probably, but you weren't able to keep up. Against some of the best offenses, you're not going to be able to stop them. It's just the way football works right now, right? 2019 LSU, you were outgunned. The only time we've really seen Georgia be able to keep up is against Oklahoma in the Rose Bowl.
And we ran the heck out of the football.
And you can do that against Oklahoma, against a team, and I'm not going to say this because Oklahoma has bad players. It's just, it was like playing the triple option for them. They're not used to like power eye traps and stuff like that, right? They're used to playing 4 wide receivers, and that's the run game they're used to stopping. Oklahoma wasn't used to that. The angles are safeties, and we're taking
it was
that
finesse
game
against physical.
Yeah, it was just you could tell they didn't practice and play against that, right? And you can see the same against Georgia. You didn't see offenses like Baker Mayfield, and so they struggled against it, right? The one time you've seen them be able to keep up is when Nick Chubb and Sonny Michel had a historic game against Oklahoma. But then in the national championship, when Alabama went to halftime and figured out that offense, there was no adjustments.
Yeah.
You couldn't do anything. And so all of a sudden Alabama chip, and then took it to overtime. Next year, in 2018 in the SEC championship, same thing. You're smacking him in the mouth with DeAndre Swift. Jake Fromm drops a couple of dimes. You're feeling good. They make the switch to Jalen Hurts. They make an adjustment on defense, and you can't switch.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, it's just a tidal wave. You can't stop them. That's where I think Kirby Smart identified Todd Monken and said, this guy, more so than anyone else we can bring in right now, has the track record of, if we need to air it out, we can air it out. If we need to run the football, we're going to run the football. But I don't think when you say we're going to air it out, that means Georgia's going to get away from handing the ball to blue chip running back after blue chip running back.
No, I 100% agree. I think the only way they're going to beat Clemson is by getting over 100 yards in that game. I think you have to establish the run against quality teams. I mean, if you look at Bama and LSU, let's just compare. I mean, look at their running backs, first-round picks. Look at their wide receiver, all first-round picks. Both sets, Devontae Smith, Jalen Waddle, Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson. Clyde Edwards-Helaire, Najee Harris, all first-round picks. Does Georgia have a first-round running back in that backfield right now? No, so it's going to be running back by
borderline. I think
committee.
Kendall Milton probably will be.
He probably will be, but as of right now, this year, if you put all of them into the draft, I don't think none of them are first-round picks. Maybe borderline end of the first round, but it's going to be running back by committee. But you still have to establish that run in order to open up the pass game, especially against Clemson. You don't want JT Daniels the first game of the season with, I wouldn't say a fairly new receiving core, but missing some guys, and he goes out there and airs it out 40, 50 times.
And I don't really remember Georgia's offense last year looking great. Like in any game where I'm like, wow, that offense looks good. A lot of people point to the Mississippi State game, but even JT Daniels, when we talked to him at SEC Media Day, said he went back and watched that film. It wasn't so much, he threw some great passes in that game, but it wasn't so much that Georgia was just unstoppable on offense. I think they averaged less than a yard a carry against Mississippi State. Right? It's bad. And he just hit some big one-on-one shots where your wide receiver was just better than DB. You can't rely on that in big games. So I don't really remember a game last year where Georgia's offense looked great. I think the one half where I'd say it looked its best was the first half against Alabama.
Yeah.
I get agree. Yeah. You're talking about the wheel pass, the James Cook.
Well, you hit James Cook on that, but even beyond that, you had a true freshman and Kendall Milton gapping Alabama up the middle. For 5, 6, 7 yards a time, and all of a sudden Alabama looked like the less physical football team.
It's unheard of,
right. And it's just, and then he got banged up a little bit. They made an adjustment to Stetson Bennett, and listen, I'm a big Stetson Bennett fan. What he did last year was super admirable.
Yeah. Oh,
you're not beating the number 1 or 2 team in the country with Stetson Bennett as your starting quarterback.
With all due respect,
right. And so they made an adjustment. He started throwing interceptions, and the game got away from him. And it's I think an even talent matchup except for the quarterback position. And that's where it kind of came down to. But the best I saw that offense look last year was we can line up under center and we can blow you off the ball and pick up 7 yards at a time.
Yeah.
There's not many teams in college football that can do that anymore. And I think Georgia the past few years has had kind of a sneaky advantage because they could do that. But again, you have to now be able to open it up and go out there and throw the football around when you need to. You weren't going to beat Florida 24-17 last year.
No, never.
It wasn't going to happen. Some games, and Nick Saban has come out and said this, some games you just have to be able to go back and forth.
Yeah.
You're not going to hold Alabama to 17 points.
No,
right? You have to be able to go out there and score 35, or you're not going to win that game. That's what I think is with Todd Monken. And so I'm not overly concerned about the Darnell Washington injury. I think you have plenty of weapons on offense. Tyke Smith injury scares me because I think Tyke Smith is hugely important. Especially against that Clemson passing game, you need somebody to step up in an already young secondary. That one's going to be interesting. We kind of talked about this more yesterday. I think Brenny right now probably becomes the guy right there who played in the Peach Bowl. But that, I think, is way more significant than Darnell Washington. We got to take a quick break, though. We'll come back with more Second Down right after this. Second Down on ESPN Radio is presented to you by the Uniform Source. Christian Gokel alongside PJ Zuko and Cam Urshery here. Glad to have you all alongside on this Thursday afternoon. Again, be sure to stick around just after 3 and Out. PJ Zuko will have high school first look for you, getting you ready for we're calling it week one. For week one of the high school football season. These games count. Ain't no week 0.
Yes.
This is week 1. So
Thank
PJ Zuko coming up at 6 o'clock with high school first look. But we mentioned there 3 and Out coming up next. Going to talk to Georgia legend, former All-American, NFL linebacker Rennie Curran coming up here on 3 and Out. Talk to him about the injury to Tyke Smith and how this could affect this Georgia defense going into that Clemson matchup. He played in a lot of big games on some really good Georgia defenses, so I'm really interested to get Rennie's thoughts on what this defense could look like coming up in 2021. Also, Nakobe Dean, Georgia's inside linebacker, makes the list for Mel Kiper's top 50 draft prospects, so we'll get Rennie's thoughts on that. Also coming up a little bit later, Fred Owens will join the show for some Braves talk about, again, what was a roller coaster of emotions in that game last night. The Braves hold on to win 11-9, but they do give up 6 runs in the bottom of the 9th to make that one way more interesting than it ever should have been. So we'll talk to Fred Owens about where we can see this bullpen going, because obviously some changes need to be made, and I'm pushing for a new closer.
Please.
Even past that, I don't know if I want Will Smith in any high leverage situations. I know a lot of people that have a lot of anxiety right now, and the last thing they need is Will Smith in their life.
It's just, man, you're doing the opposite of what you're supposed to do as a job. Like in what job, workplace is that right? Like, he's making every game more exciting.
I don't know. I mean, baseball's
he's supposed to do the exact opposite.
Baseball's the only job in the world where you can fail at your job 70% of the time and get paid millions of dollars.
Yeah, but I thought we used that for batters, not for closers. You know what I mean? Like, you're applying different. It's ridiculous. It's about time. I get Snickers loyal to a lot of people, but it's about time.
You know, PJ Zuko is ready for it. I'm ready for it. Cam, I know you're ready for it too. So we'll Braves off tonight. Maybe they'll sit down and have a nice long conversation about the bullpen. But again, 3 and Out coming up next. BJ Bennett, Ben Troop, and Kevin Thomas will be joined by Rennie Curran and Fred Owen. All that coming up next right here on ESPN Radio.